huge.
They've built the whole team around him. They have, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. They have all those weapons. They've been trying to fortify the offensive line anyway. They've improved the running game. If they want to make a run, they've got to pay him. Yeah. I mean, the bottom line is. And Tua kind of bet on himself. They didn't want to pick up his option, so he went out and he led the NFL in passing yards. So, that happens, and now the Dolphins have got to get it done. We've seen some of these gargantuan contracts signed by, look at Kirk Cousins and what he got for 2 years.
Yeah.
And he's had a tremendously long career, and he'll be the starter at least for a year over Penix. Penix just got his rookie deal. But yeah, Tua's earned it. I know he's anxious to get that contract done, and I would say that I would think the Miami Dolphins and Tua will have an agreement before training camp and get this out of the way, and then try to make a run at a Super Bowl, man, because I think they have a lot of talent. It's a tough AFC, a tough AFC East, but right now the Patriots are going through transition. Buffalo is a little bit too.
Yeah, so no wide receivers over there. They're figuring.
Well,
that
I mean, they've still got Josh Allen. They still got some really good defensive personnel.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I mean, it's still a tough division, no doubt about it. And to get to the Super Bowl, you got to go through Pat Mahomes, which is never easy. And right now, the Chiefs are going to be the favorite until someone beats them.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Good stuff from Drew DeArmond. You guys can catch more of him 7 to 9 on Talkin' Ball weekdays. We got to hop into a break. When we get back, getting into a little bit of the NHL talk with the Stanley Cup Finals. Game 7 going down between the Oilers and the Panthers. And, Bandy, my predictions have changed because they are blown out of the water. That's what's coming up here on the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Bandiman. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show, followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere. Years of experience bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
College football.
The ball is caught. It is a touchdown.
Major League Baseball.
That ball is gone. A home run.
This is your place for complete sports coverage all year long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hello and welcome back in to the Morning Blitz. John Abraham, Captain Cool, alongside the Bandiman, Bailey Lowery.
Hey.
And Bandy, we had an interesting weekend, okay? Not just in sports, but in our personal lives as well. I got to go and see Spider-Man over at the Trash Pandas on Friday. It was the Defenders of the Diamond, and it was absolutely wonderful. Actually,
Wait, so you saw Spider-Man?
yeah.
Okay.
He had to teach like 40 children, I think, on the baseball field before the game happened. It was a mess. Let me just tell you, Bandy. First off, his mic must have been inside of his suit or something like that because it was just like muffled against his mask, I believe. And then he got handed like a normal mic. So then he was talking while he was showing these kids how to do moves like the Spidey chop, the Spidey sweep. It was wonderful stuff until this villain, and they call him the Shucker.
The Shucker?
The Shucker. He came up behind, and he ended up, attacking Spider-Man, and then all the kids. And you think, maybe his Spidey senses would have went off, but they didn't. They didn't go off.
They didn't go off.
It didn't look like it. But then a bunch of kids just run at the guy, and apparently they were supposed to be in single file line beating this kid up, but no, they were not. They instantly jumped on him, and Spider-Man was like, "Who's the real criminal here?" But I got his notes that he actually had. It's pretty cool. It's actually really cool.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, I'll have to show you this one. There's the Spidey chop, Spidey sweep, Spidey stance, and then always get back up. Even when you think you're down, never give up. It's the Spidey spring roll.
Did he hit him with the Maximum Spider?
I think he just kind of stood and watched. He didn't know what to do when those kids started fighting because it's like, what is he going to do? He didn't have his web shooters on him. They wouldn't allow him bring him in. But Andy, what did you get yourself into, man?
Got to a little bit. Played in a fighting game tournament over the weekend and actually had the chance to commentate first ever fighting game tournament.
That's awesome.
Got to commentate some Guilty Gear Strive.
Oh, okay. It was a fun experience.
Oh yeah.
That's sick.
I got my butt beat. Like I got mopped. Yeah. But it was an overall very fun experience.
Well, you got to get back into the Street Fighter scene and all those games, the fighting game scene,
Yeah. Guilty Gear unwashed.
Yeah, you play a lot of these games, you're gonna learn some things, you're gonna lose some things when you hop into a totally different type of game. Just listen to me whenever I'm playing hockey all the time, and then I play an older hockey game, and then I try and make it work with the newer ones. It just doesn't work. Doesn't work.
And speaking of hockey, did get to catch Game 6. Oh my God, the Oilers.
Bandy, this gets me excited, all right? It really does. And I said that the Panthers would be able to take it to Game 6. They were going to be able to win. I didn't think it would end up the way it has ended up, all right? And I do want to run down a little bit, just to get people prepared for what's going to happen tonight, of course, in Florida. Because, some people, they get into a little bit of sports. They listen to a few of the games. They see that the Panthers are blowing out the Oilers 3-0. And then they don't really hear about anything else. Bandy, history is currently being made in Edmonton, all right? This is some wacky stuff. And I remember a while back we were talking about when was the last time a team totally turned things around, going from 3-0 to 3-3, tying it up.
Yep.
The last time that happened in the playoffs was 2011. That was with the LA Kings, all right, which, of course, recently got a rebrand. Good for them. The last time it's happened in the Stanley Cup Finals, Bandy, it was right at the end of World War II, right in the middle of World War II, back in 1942 with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So that's how far we're having to go back to see the history that we are currently seeing in the NHL. Of course, Toronto Maple Leafs beating the Detroit Red Wings way back in 1942 with the coach being Jack Adams. So you remember that guy? I don't think anybody does. Most of you guys weren't even alive for that time, and if you were, I would love to hear from you because that stuff is insane to talk about in the first place. But now we're looking at a Game 7, and why I am stressing for people to get into this and watch this final game is because of the studs that we have on display in this matchup. Of course, you look at the first game, it goes 3-0. Panthers get the win. Game 2, 4-1. The Oilers finally starting to understand Bobrovsky just a little bit, but it was a little too late. Game 3, they're able to put 3 goals through the net. And then Game 4, they're able to put 8 goals through the net. And they're able to figure out their defensive schemes a little bit more, put a little bit more guys in front of the net to help out their goaltender. And it really has worked out in many ways because now we're seeing less goals from the Panthers and more goals from the Oilers that, we didn't even get to see from the Panthers in those earlier games. We thought 3-0 was a shutout at the beginning of the series. Now look at the 5-3, the 5-1, and now whatever's going to happen tonight is going to be absolutely wild. It's going to be at the Panthers' home. And for the Panthers, how degrading this is. to see your team get as far as they have for the second year straight. This year, you're not looked at like the underdogs. And that's why I'm liking the Oilers right here, is because they are looked at as the underdogs. But last year, going up against the Golden Knights, they were the underdogs going into it. They lose that series. It's still huge for Florida, okay? Of course, before you had Tampa Bay making it to the Stanley Cup 3 years in a row. The first 2 years they were able to win. Then they lose. Then you're wondering who's going to be next, because Tampa Bay was just not as good the year prior or the year after. Then you get a Florida team that's on the up and up, and now you're looking to think that maybe Florida could at least take one home with them. One Stanley Cup. They lose to the Golden Knights, and now they are on their last leg against this Oilers team that has just been shooting.
Yeah, it's like they looked lights out. Like in the first 3 games, like it looked like it. I mean, going up 3-0 in any kind of series, it's almost a guaranteed lock to take home the whole thing. But lo and behold, Edmonton said like, "Nah, we got different plans."
Well, the thing is about this,
we just needed 3 games to download you.
That's exactly what's happening. The thing is now the Oilers, which it's totally changed my prediction for this. All right. The Oilers, in my opinion, have the energy, have the momentum, have the crowd. Even though this is all the way in Florida, the momentum is just so insane that the Oilers are going to win tonight. And do I think it's going to be close? I do. I think the Oilers, I'm going to throw down the prediction that's just right off the top of my head, all right? I'm thinking it's going to be 4-3. That's going to be the game. And I think the Oilers are going to be able to take it home and bring it back to their house for the first time since 1990. And if you guys know, the last time that a Canadian team won was 1993. Of course, with the Canadians being the team to win, very fitting right there. So we look at, though, who the stars are, who the guys that really are making these plays. And you would think you would go down the list and you'd go down to Connor McDavid. What's he up to? He didn't do anything in this last game. It really has been the bench players or the less known, the third line, the fourth line guys that have really been able to show up in these games. Talk about Fogle, okay? Warren Fogle, he was able to get a goal last night, an assist and 2 points altogether. You look at Draisaitl, who was able to get 3 shots on goal, really wear down the goalie. And then you look at the other guys who are just insane with the way that they're passing these pucks. There are these saucer passes, Bandy. I think that there was a few guys. I think Janmark also shot or had one of these passes. McLean did. Nugent Hopkins. These guys, their saucer pass is just so slick. The way that it goes up and to the other guy, around the defender's sticks, and then right into the goal. It was some of the best shots on goal that I've seen, and that is another part that is changing for this Oilers team. They're getting quality shots on goal. They're not just shooting it just to shoot it like we saw with the Panthers the Friday night, because they could not get to the goal in the first place. So the Oilers have some momentum, and I think that momentum is going to take them all the way to be the Stanley Cup winners. And I think it's going to halt the Florida Panthers one more year to not raise the Stanley Cup above their head, and it is going to be terrible. They're going to want revenge, and I don't know when they're going to get it next, because this team is stacked, and I don't know if they're going to be able to keep all of them, because even with all of this said, we still look at this Panthers team and see all of the studs that they got. Sam Bennett, you see Bobrovsky, you see Barkov. I mean, all of these guys are top talented players. To keep these guys coming back is going to be tough, okay? And the same can be said for the Oilers. So this is the shot for both of these teams to really make a legacy for themselves. I say the Oilers are winning. Bandy, do you have any predictions?
I think Edmonton takes it.
Okay.
I mean, they've gone this far. They tied it up 3-3. I don't see them not closing it out here. Even if they're playing at Florida,
yeah,
I still see them closing it out. They've been on too big a hot streak, and the way Game 6 looked, just like an absolute utter domination from the Oilers, I think they keep that momentum into Game 7. Especially with the way a lot of the Edmonton players have been talking about, saying we've been looking forward to Game 7. We are looking forward to tonight. We cannot wait to be back on the ice. I'm thinking they take it.
First Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Final since 2019. That was, of course, the Boston Bruins versus the St. Louis Blues. St. Louis Blues won that one. I was very upset. But thankfully, I'm neutral in this one, and I think I'm going to be happy, regardless of the outcome. I love USA, but I also think Canada is very due for a Stanley Cup.
Which we're right around the corner from the Summer Olympics.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to some summer basketball.
Oh, Bandy, I'm
tired of being a joke in the basketball world where we hadn't even taken home the gold in the last 2 Olympics.
Yeah, I understand that. Well, they're a stacked team, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they could do. But I'm also looking forward to talking about what Canada was able to do in some football as well over the weekend. That's just how bad we are wanting to talk about some football. So don't go anywhere, because you're listening to the Morning Blitz here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Bandiman. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show, followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere.
just get, some good baseball, some good golf, some protesters, all that stuff, which made things a lot more interesting at that Travelers Championship. But we also got kind of Bishop Sycamore Part 2. All right.
You got wait, part 2. There's more to this.
Yeah. And don't worry, because it's not Bishop Sycamore. That school doesn't exist. There's nothing really about that team except for some documentaries coming out. But what's worse than Bishop Sycamore is, I hate to say it, but Brazil's football team. They're a U20 football team, to be more specific, as they faced off against Canada and lost 10-0. No, not 10-0. 110-0. Sorry, the scoreboard said 10-0 just because it couldn't fit 3 numbers onto one side of the board. 110-0, and if I could find all of the stats for this game, I would love to break it down for you guys. I don't know how this game kept going, though, all right? If I was Team Brazil, I would be ready to leave as soon as possible, and I won't say that Canada really looked that much better. Again, these are U20 players and all this stuff, so I can't be like, oh, this is a IMG team playing up against the school that doesn't exist, because that's not the case. It's Canada, a bunch of amateur players playing up against Brazilian players that are also very much amateur players. And to see it just end 110-0 is absolutely baffling to me. And Bandy, I don't know if you heard any of it, but you will be hearing of it. We're talking about the Canada-Brazil game. Where it ended 10-0, but it was actually 110-0 because the scoreboard couldn't fit them all there.
Yeah, couldn't fit it.
But there were 383 rushing yards combined, okay, to South America, aka Brazil's 17. And there was pretty much one rush that I think actually gained that 17 yards, and then all of the other ones kept getting pushed back. So I don't even know how they ended up with plus yards on that day. But 4 different running backs combined for 60 points and 383 yards on 31 attempts. Let me tell you, if this happened to me, Bandy, I'd probably never play football again. I don't really know how I would even return to my country to see this. And I hate to hate, because I'm not hating, but seeing this be the score, you can't even put up one. I mean, even South Park put up 3 different goals against an NHL team in that one special episode that it was like 52-3. How is that even possible? All right?
That oh my God. I actually caught that episode like a week ago.
It's hilarious that you found that. But Canada found the end zone 14 times. 14 different times. So if we can just find the stats on this game, I would love to see it. Love to break it all down for you guys, because it was an absolute mollywop for the Gipper. I'll say that for those Canadians out there. They're definitely in very high spirits. At least anybody who watches the U20 team, which I could only say is probably a few hundred. But on top of that, we also got a little bit of NASCAR. Bandy, I love to talk about it. It was a very interesting race that we got to see. I'm still trying to remember. In New Hampshire, okay? One of my least favorite tracks to watch, just because the banking is little to none. It's a 1-mile track, and anything could really happen except for lead changes, okay? So Christopher Bell was able to lead a majority of this race. He ended up winning it. That's not even the storyline. The storyline is this one being the longest broadcast since, I think, Daytona back in 2012, when Juan Pablo Montoya actually slipped into a truck dryer, and it caught fire, and then we had to wait 2 more hours for the race to go underway. Bandy, do you remember that? Did you ever watch that clip? Oh. Number 42 in the Target car slipping up the track into that air-drying truck, and it just bursting into fires.
I don't think I've seen that, no.
That is a classic clip. But that broadcast actually lasted 10 hours, to where yesterday, a race that started at 2 o'clock our time, all right, Tennessee, Huntsville, all that time, it lasted 7 hours. It started at 2 o'clock and ended at around 8 or 9. I think it might have been 7 or 8. And just to think that race, a race that doesn't really mean too much except for, for racers that haven't won races because they're trying to get into the playoffs. To a fan like me, who already doesn't want to see New Hampshire on the schedule, to have to be waiting like 3 hours in between a rain delay that came by, and then finally getting NASCAR back, and then the huge storyline being they're using wet weather tires. The race is going to be slower. I am so excited. But I can't be too upset about it, because we actually got to see it come to an end. Something we didn't see in the 600-mile race. And, I don't know. I don't know how I feel. 88 more laps left. They come back. It goes green. wet weather tires are on. It didn't really entice me too much. We had some guys slipping randomly, some engines just not turning on. It was a little bit of a crap fest, but for Christopher Bell, this is a huge win for him as he gets 3 wins now on the season and now is behind only one, and that's one Mr. Kyle Larson, the guy we've talked plenty about because he continues to win. Interesting race altogether. Bandy, another thing that we also got, which we talked a little bit with Drew, but didn't get to go too in-depth with it, was this Tennessee versus Texas A&M matchup, right? We saw game 1, a lot of errors from Tennessee.
Yep.
It was a little bit of a dirty game, all right? Tennessee's still able to kind of hold this Texas A&M team until things kind of got out of hand, and then it ended the way that it did. But now, we look at what happened in game 2, and if you clean up the mistakes, okay, which Tennessee definitely cleaned up those mistakes, they're able to have a really good defensive battle against this Texas A&M team, a team that is really known for their defensive prowess on the mound, around the plate, of course with the infielders, the outfielders, all of that stuff has all really been good for Texas A&M. Of course, you lose Montgomery. That is a huge loss for a team. But to still be able to make it to where they're at, going to the final game, the very final game of the season, is very impressive. Not just for a Texas A&M team, but for the SEC.
Yeah.
Because it shows you that not just one player is going to carry these squads, all right? Same could be said for Tennessee squad that, of course, has had Drew Bean. We can look at A.J. Causey. Whenever one of these guys falters, another one picks it up. And, of course, Tennessee's at-bats have been absolutely ridiculous. Christian Moore, Blake Burke. These guys have been powerhouses for this squad. And I am so excited to watch it tonight, to listen to it tonight on our network, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. You guys can find the app on the App Store and on Google stores. Go and find it, 97.7 ESPN. It'll pop up for you. You can carry it and go anywhere with it. I'd like to know your guys' opinions. Who's going to win tonight in the form of this Texas A&M College World Series? And then who you think is going to win in Florida tonight with the Panthers going up against the Oilers. Okay, me and Bandy have already made our opinions on the hockey scene. Now we want to know how it can be in the College World Series scene.
I don't know. It really is a coin flip for me. I mean, because again, Tennessee gets hot like they did in Game 2. They clean up those errors. They're not playing dirty defense. I mean, I feel like I got to go with the Vols.
It really depends on the pitching.
As much as it pains me to say it, I gotta go with the Vols.
It's gonna get down to the pitching. Who's gonna be the last guy that's gonna be able to step up for the Tennessee Vols? Because you already lost A.J. Causey in Game 1.
Yep.
You lost Drew Bean in Game 2. So who are you gonna be able to bring in to really shut out this game? And speaking of ending this whole thing with a bang, because we love to see it go down to the wire, we also have to talk about the Rocco's Jello Shot Challenge. Because we have talked about that. Every time we got into the baseball talk, we also talk about this. Florida State ended with 4,600. Virginia, 1,700. North Carolina, 4,900. Florida with 4,300. Tennessee at 27,004. Texas A&M, 27,422. Kentucky, 6,900. And NC State, 2,700. So we're not just going down to the wire in the baseball on the field. We're going down to the wire on the drunk people in the stands as well. And I am so excited to see the energy from Omaha tonight as Tennessee faces off against Texas A&M. When we get back, you guys can call in 256-576-4
97.7
to get in on the show and place your pick on who's going to be winning tonight in both the NHL and the College World Series. We'll see you guys on the other side of the Morning Blitz here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Bandiman. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show. followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH Sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere.
He goes!
6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
From heirloom diamonds to contemporary jewels, Loring & Company is the place to find something truly special. Whether shopping for a diamond ring for that once-in-a-lifetime occasion or marking a milestone birthday or personal achievement with a Rolex watch, you'll find just the thing in our edit of the world's most sought-after brands, including David Yurman, Roberto Coin, Marco Bicego, and Fopay. Expect a treasure trove of the world's most unique, even breathtaking earrings, rings, necklaces, and bracelets, making choosing just one piece a challenge in itself. Loring & Company Jewelers on Airport Road.
There's the phone and no one to answer.
256-576-4977.
And as a result, we got many, many phone calls and letters.
Give us a call on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline today. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Hello and welcome back to the Morning Blitz, presented by the wonderful people over at Fleming Roofing and Restoration, the guys you need to talk to about all of your roofing needs. If you're having any roofing problems, make sure you look them up online at FlemingHSV.com. And remember that Fleming always shows up. You guys can get your free quote today and also get that house checked out a little bit. Because, you know, whenever it comes to this time, Bandy, where there's just no rain for the longest of times, it's plenty of time. It's perfect. Prime time, I would say. Prime time to get your roof fixed up and then, of course, get ready for a huge monsoon. I'm not calling for it. I'll make predictions in sports. I don't make it on the weather forecast. But there usually will be a little bit of rain that comes right after all of this heat. And honestly, I do hope for a little bit of that rain because the park that I go to and walk around at is just totally dead. All the grass is gone. They're playing with the sprinklers, all that stuff. Thankfully enough, I was able to run through those sprinklers and get myself cooled off because it was like 99 degrees yesterday. At least it felt like it. I was sweating all the way down to the bone. Bandy, any interesting things you want to get into before we get out of this show, brother?
We actually got some breaking news out of the NBA. We got a new head coaching hire. Cleveland Cavaliers are now hiring Warriors assistant coach and Nets head coach Kenny Atkinson as a franchise's new head coach. So going forward, honestly, a pretty good pickup for Cleveland.
Yeah. Do you think, you know, comparing that to the other big storyline that came out of the NBA, you know, with JJ Redick, do you think it is a better option to go with them? Like, what if the Lakers went with Addison instead? You know,
with Atkinson. I mean, I feel like it'd be like a little bit better. I mean, because he's got experience under his belt. Again, like he's been an assistant coach. I was trying to say assistant head coach, and also a head coach for the Nets. I mean, he's got experience under his belt. I mean, it would have been. I feel like it would have been an upgrade because we just don't know with JJ Redick. We just never seen him as a coach before.
Yeah.
And again, he's going into the hottest seat in the NBA. It'll be fun to watch. I mean, I'm hoping to see him develop a lot of the young talent there because the Lakers do have young talent. There is potential depth there. Darvin Ham was not the person to bring it out. That's probably the worst person to bring it out.
Yeah, they were just like, we need a placeholder, so let's just put. There you go.
You might as well have not had a coach.
Yeah. I would have just said that LeBron James could be the head coach at that point. But it will be interesting. I saw a little tidbit that came up, and it was like JJ Redick's coaching career. And I think he's coached for like a stand-in fourth grade team, like a fourth grade basketball team. So he was able to have fun, a little bit of success with that squad. But Dude,
I'm ready to see, like, if his team goes under 40% from three, he just straps on a uniform and just hops in himself.
He could. He is the same age as LeBron James. And that is what's ridiculous to me. These guys are going to be bros hanging out right after the game. I hope not. But that's the thing. You know, you look at some of these players, they get up there in age. And now, I mean, with all the young coaches that are being added, not only into, like, the NBA, but the NFL, all of these leagues, some of these players are up to the ages where they are actually matching some of these players. And it is actually very, very crazy to believe.
It's like, Austin Reeves, step back. I got this.
Yeah.
It's like, go to the bench. We'll talk about rotations later.
Sheesh. It's definitely a cool subject that we are definitely going to be following all throughout the week. I'm also going to be following a little bit of the NHL. Of course, that's something we are definitely going to be watching tonight. And on top of that, what makes it hard is because the College World Series is around the exact same time, both primetime matchups. I'm thinking this, all right, Bandy? I'm thinking whenever the Stanley Cup starts, okay, I'm going to have on our little app, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. It's going to be playing the College World Series while I'm watching the Stanley Cup. And it might throw me off a little bit because I'll probably mute the Stanley Cup and then have the College World Series going, and then I'll be thinking baseball, but I'll be envisioning hockey because that's exactly what I'll be doing. It'll be a really fun night, Bandy. And if you want to come over, you want to hang out, we can play Mario Party afterwards.
I'd be down.
Okay. Well, I got my plans set for the rest of the day. I also got to go pick up a credit card that I left with my brother because, we went out to a few places, and it was very nice. Either way, I'm just rambling at this point. That's what Soggy Talk's all about, Bandy.
Yeah.
To finish off the show, why don't we talk about, I was going to talk about Scotty Scheffler, but we could talk about Travis Kelce joining Taylor Swift's concert.
Yeah. We also got another concert that happened over the weekend, too.
Oh,
Drake needs to just leave America, dude.
Yeah. I'm glad you say that. That's a lot easier to say on there.
He just needs to leave.
Yeah.
It's over for him.
So what happened? All right.
You've got Kendrick Lamar throwing a concert in his hometown. He had 3 separate gangs on stage, all united. Which, again,
he's bringing people together.
Yeah, no, everybody knows about the rivalry between the Bloods and the Crips. Just on a
of course,
nationwide scale.
Yeah.
He had them united.
Dude, he's bringing people together.
Like hugging each other, handshaking each other. Calling Drake, if you heard the song Not Like Us, you know what they're calling him.
Yeah.
He sang that song 6 times in a row.
I love that. That's hilarious.
To a sold-out concert. Had the entire arena chanting it.
Who was the last guy to do that? They play the song like over and over and over again. One more time.
One more time. Yeah,
who did that.
Drake just needs to leave the country. It is over for him.
That's tough. But I mean, hey,
there's no rebranding.
Is it getting like out of the question? Kendrick Lamar for president 2024? Is that out of the question? He's bringing people together. Whereas I see, with all this talk about Trump, and I'm not political at all, but Trump and Biden. First off, Trump's going to be loud. Okay,
yep.
So he's definitely going to be, have an advantage in that side.
It's going to be huge.
It's going to be a huge, huge, huge wall.
It's going to be a huge debate.
We're going to start going back and building the wall, or we're going to get Biden. Okay.
Who
Sleepy Joe?
Yeah, on the best day, still has no idea where he is.
I don't know how this is going. This is going to be some of the most entertaining TV we're going to get in history, but it's also going to be terrible in the back of my mind that one of these guys is probably going to be leading the country, and one of them might be leading it back to back here in a few months. So I just don't know. It's just going to be crazy. How could Joe Biden even get a few words off? I'm not dogging either one of them, but golly, these guys are geezers at this point. I'm just glad we got sports to distract us from all of it. Am I right? Can I get an amen?
Yeah, we're about to get the college football game here soon. So, I mean, that'll be one distraction I'd be all in on.
Oh, hey, we all have one thing in mind. We love America. We love sports. And those oil protesters are getting a little out of hand, all right?
Yeah.
You mess with our golf? You mess with monuments, that's one thing. Our golf?
Yeah.
Don't do it. Especially not on hole 72. Crazy stuff. Either way, Scotty Scheffler did, in fact, get the win. His 6th one of the year. filling his grand total of victory money to $28 million. If you want to golf, you're going to make some money. Get good at it. Either way, for me and the Bandiman, we'll catch you guys in 23 hours here on the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads,